get to the money. Gotta get to the money. Early morning, so you know that I'm on it. So you know that I'm on it. Gotta make sure that my family straight. Gotta make sure that the kids and me. Gotta make sure that the bills is paid. And then let's get to the money. Get to the money. Early morning, so you know that I'm on it. And gotta make sure that my family straight. Gotta make sure that the kids and they. Gotta make sure that the bills is paid. And then let's get to the money. Get to the money.
Welcome to another episode of Drinking After Dark, a podcast where we discuss random topics while having a few drinks. I'm your host, Darius, and as always, drink responsibly. And y'all make sure y'all follow Drinking After Dark podcast on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. And y'all make sure y'all like and subscribe to Drinking After Dark podcast YouTube channel. Tonight, I'm not drinking on anything. I'm just drinking on some Gatorade tonight. I hope you guys had a great weekend. I know I've been having a great, blessed week. But we're gonna get into this topic. This is something that everybody pretty much is talking about right now. Pretty much shaking their head, whatever emotions that's going through you right now about this particular story. We're just gonna go ahead and talk about it. So, Jada Pinkett Smith is pretty much back in the news. She's pretty much doing, promotions for a new book called Worthy. Okay. Now, she pretty much revealed in an interview that she did with let me see, what's her name? I can't even say her name. But it was on today. Hoda Cop. I guess that's how you say it. Basically, she revealed that her and Will Smith have been separated since 2016. All right. 2016, and pretty much, they've been trying to work it out, all this stuff, still showing up at make public appearances, as this couple that's doing fine, doing okay, and everything like that. But it came out that she revealed that her and Will Smith have been separated since 2016, which people now are going back to what happened last year with the slap with Chris Rock, and everything, where she pretty much gave her side, what she thought about at that moment. And with the whole Red Table Talk show in general, people were just going back to all these things, right? So, let's start off with, I don't know, should I start off with the slap, or should I start off with let's go ahead and start off with the separation. So they've been separated since 2016, and let's go back to further than that. They were pretty much like the Black Hollywood couple. When they talk about couples goals and everything like that, that's what people always refer to, like Will and Jada, right? But, this goes to show you how private their relationship really was. All right. Nobody knew about this. Was it now, 7 years? So nobody knew about this until right now. Not only that, but stuff about them started coming out when Jada Pinkett Smith really started doing the Red Table Talk. And, listen, I said it before on this podcast, back when a lot of this stuff happened. I always felt like the platform that she had, I understood it, but you can't talk about healing unless you're healed first, right? So while you're trying to help everybody else, the first person you need to help is yourself. And even though, she's coming out publicly about this, which kind of, in my opinion, I'm asking like, why are you coming out publicly about this? You know, I understand you pushing, your book and everything like that. You on this media tour and everything like that, but you never seen Will Smith really as a public when it comes to his private life, it was never really made public until a few years ago when it started with the whole entanglement issue and all of that. And not only that, but let's be honest, Jada Pinkett Smith never really apologized for that. So let's go on with that, right? They were on the red table talk together. I guess they talked about it, but there was no real closure because there was no apologies for anything. And it's kind of like, well, you're separated, so why you bring? Well, I just if y'all don't know, August Alsina brought it up, which they had to talk about it and everything like that. But um, to me, I believe it's not the beginning of the end because at this point they were already separated. But it's kind of like really truly the begin of the downfall of their relationship. Then you go months later, Oscars and everything like that. Chris Rock made a joke. Will Smith laughed at first. Then he got up, slapped Chris Rock, cussed, cussed out. Um, Will Smith cussed out Chris Rock, and then that was the whole big thing. He got banned for 10 years. Even though he won an Oscar that night, and I mean that was overshadowed. That one incident was overshadowed by that action, and now we're here. I mean, of course, Chris Rock already did his special. I think it was earlier this year, and he pretty much talked about the slap. And then you have uh now with this whole book tour that Jada Pinkett Smith is doing, revealing that she's been separated from Will Smith from 2016, which it kind of it's almost like I don't know if y'all remember if y'all go back to the Oscar slap, y'all remember how Chris Rock was like after that happened, like he stopped himself from doing something. Like he was going to say something, but he stopped himself, right? Let's just be honest, right? You got a lot of people who talk, right? They have these talk shows, they talk, they just speculate and all of that. There's some people out there that really knows about this situation. I think Chris Rock probably knows more than what he's um I think he knows more than what people give him credit for because he said that he truly values Will Smith as a friend and everything like that. But I mean, now what and this whole thing, when people comment and talking about this, that, now with all of this coming out to light, it's like, why? Right? If you still trying to work this out, why are you going out and say, no, we've been separated since 2016, unless you think this is a a cry for help, to trying to, make this thing work, the marriage work. Um, I think the red table talk should have been more for her. I get it. You want to have guests on the show and all of that, but it starts with you first and make sure you're healed first, and then you can reach out to other people. But with that being said, let me see. So they've been together since 2016. Well, been separated since 2016. And then during this particular interview with Today, she talked about how she basically gave her side to the slap of the Oscars. Okay. So she thought now this is coming from her. Quote, I thought this is a skit, she said. I was like, there's no way that Will hit him. It wasn't until Will started to walk back to his chair that I even realized it wasn't a skit. So she thought it was a skit. Even she thought it was a skit. So I'm gonna give her a pass on that just because she thought it was a part of a skit. But at the same time, I would say this. You know, you pretty much know if that's your husband, you know the buttons that's being pushed, you know what his breaking point is, right? And let's just be honest, right? Um, Chris Rock has made numerous jokes about Jada Pinkett. You know, it's maybe enough was enough for Will Smith. He just reached his breaking point and all of that. Even as a wife, even y'all been separated. You know, they were separated at that time. Showing up, you know, like this perfect couple and everything like that. Even, you know, he's pretty much reached his breaking point. At some point, you still gotta be the woman by his side to say, not right here. This ain't the time to do it. This is nice about you. I'm willing to take a joke or two just for you to receive your Oscar. But that never happened. So she didn't know what was going on. Maybe she was just like, all right, like everybody in the audience, everybody thought it was a skit. That was the consensus with I can't even talk right now. Um with everybody who was there in person and everybody who was watching until they realized when he was pretty much cussing out Chris Rock, you know, it was serious. It was a real thing. And I've been critical of the slap. I'm like, if you're gonna slap a man on TV, at least knock him out. You know, Chris Rock took the slap. I mean, that was pretty much a waste. You know, he's assaulting a man on TV and everything. For Chris Rock not to press charges, you know, he pretty much, you know, that was that. But he pretty this whole thing is kind of like why you keep doing this, right? And it and all of this, and from some people, it's like, okay, Chris Rock is looking better in the situation. People are starting feeling more sad for Will Smith. And it's kind of like, why? Like, why would you put this out? Why would you know, detail your private life, which was private all these years? Everybody was saying Will and Jada. No, that was the goal. Be like Will and Jada, Will and Jada. But yet now you want to put this out, you know, in an interview. Maybe, like I said, it's a cry, one last cry to try to make this thing work. Who knows, right? Um, Nobody really knows the conversations going on behind those closed doors between those two. All thing I know is this: is that, you know, when you have some talk shows out there that's talking, let's just be honest, right? Accountability is like a foreign word to some people. And a lot of these talk shows are try to justify everything that goes on. A lot of things don't need to be justified. It happened. There's no explanation. It's just how it is, right? And I just feel like at that moment, and if y'all go back, I don't know if you're able to go rewatch the Red Table Talk, maybe on YouTube or something. If you go back, I never heard Jada Pinkett Smith apologize to Will Smith. I never heard that apology. Now, here's the thing: if she apologized behind closed doors, cool. But if private matters are made public, then I think you should apologize publicly, right? Take Will Smith, right? When Will Smith slapped Chris Rock, I mean, listen, we would have loved to see him apologize face to face. I think it's going to get to a point where they will um, meet up face to face, hug it out, all that, move on, right? And I think that's what will happen. But you saw Will Smith tried a couple of times, even through his Instagram, to apologize. You know, he's been apologizing to Chris Rock. Um, so we seen that, and then when you seen the Chris Rock special, you ever notice that he still went in harder on Jada Pinkett Smith, but not Will Smith? If y'all go back and really watch that special, right? He really went in more on Jada Pinkett Smith. Like he was really going in on that. And now it's kind of like, all right, does he know something that we don't? Because y'all gotta remember, Chris Rock and Will Smith were friends. So don't think that Will Smith ain't confide into a friend about his personal relationship, right? We all have, right? There's that one friend they like, hey, I gotta get this off my chest, blah blah blah. They keep it between them two, things like that. I mean, Chris Rock might know something. He might know something. Uh, but yeah, she's doing this book tour, and she talked with Today. I'm pretty sure y'all could go look at the interview on YouTube, or you could go onto the website on the internet and see the interview and everything like that. I just think that by the end of the day, my opinion is that she pretty much could have kept that to herself until it actually worked out to where like, yeah, we were no, we were separated for a while and then, we worked it out. Stuff couples go through, married couples go through, especially been together a long time. I mean, it's not something you should be ashamed about. It's just that with everything that's been going on the last few years, why you have to add another layer to what some people think is a troubling marriage. You know what I mean? So that's the way that way it is. But she also reacted to you know she commented about how people blamed her for the slap and everything. So I'm just going to read this quote. She said she wasn't surely, quote, I surely wasn't surprised that I got blamed, but I understood that that's just human nature of it all. That's what she told people. So you go online and look at that. Um, Another quote is, it was ridiculous and how far it went. Let me see. But I also understood at the same time, considering the false narrative that I had cheated on Will, or I was like some adulteress. Will had never done that before, Jada says. And I think that when we just look at human nature, when you look at the breadcrumbs, people need something to blame. And so people not knowing what was happening behind the scenes, I surely wasn't surprised that I got blamed. She has she adds of how some interpreted the incident, but I understood that just human nature of it all. Okay. Now, even reading that statement, right? We never really understood what an entanglement was from her perspective. Um, August Alsina pretty much explained, some things, right? So I don't know if she would ever admit to her wrongdoings, and everything she probably would have with, like I said, privately behind closed doors. And I think, what's done privately should stay privately. If you're gonna be a private couple, stay private. But when you run the risk of bringing somebody else into the relationship, this is what's going to happen, right? Because when you're looked at as a perfect couple, and this stuff comes to light, now people are looking at you differently, and it's just like a domino effect. It just keep coming and coming and coming and piling on until somebody snaps, which we saw. So that's just my thing of it all, and I don't know, man. I think personally, I think that I think it just needs to just stop. I think just needs to stop. And I know a lot of people gonna go get a book, which hits everywhere October 17th. All right, October 17th. That's when her new memoir, Worthy, hits bookshelves. So I know a lot of people gonna read it. They're gonna react to it. I'm pretty sure it's gonna be more uh, conversations about it. So We all understand that you got to make money. You got to promote, you know, your product and everything like that. So I'm pretty sure once October 17th hit, people gonna run to the stores and go get it and read it, and then they're gonna have these conversations on various podcasts, talk shows, things like that. So we'll see, but everybody's been talking about it. All right, all right, man. Before we go any further, I just want to say, y'all make sure y'all hit that subscribe button, man. Y'all make sure y'all follow Drinking After Dark podcast on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, man. Uh, let's get these uh let's get these subscribers up. If you listening on stream, man, go ahead and follow the streaming wherever you listening to this podcast. So y'all make sure y'all do that. Let's go ahead and continue to grow, man, and all of that stuff. And y'all have any drink ideas for me, send them my way. You could comment in the video below, or y'all could hit me up on Facebook and Instagram, or even TikTok. Um, which I with some suggestions, and I'll try it out. All right. Okay. So, one last thing before I get out of here. Um, this is something I wanted to talk about for my sports fans. Uh, if you're a football fan like me, um, you know what happened this past weekend with college football, particularly the football team, right? Miami football team. Uh, so coaches in every sport, you have to be the brains. You have to be the one to make the decisions. And a lot of times, you're the one with the most common sense, right? In this particular case, when it comes to the Miami Hurricanes, that didn't happen. So, Coach Mario Cristobal, he pretty much gave away a game to Georgia Tech. So Miami was up. For those who don't know, Miami was up 2017. They had the ball. Georgia Tech had no more timeouts. Uh, Miami all had to do was, take a knee, and the game is over. You didn't have to do nothing else. No, you know what the coach decided to do? Let's run one more play. Now, at that point, somebody on that staff should have said, no, we're taking a knee. They have no more timeouts. Let's take a knee. Clock will run out. We got the victory. That didn't happen. So what happened was um, the head coach decided, hey, let's run another play. So they decided to run a play. It was a run play, and the running back fumbled the ball. The running back fumbled the ball with uh how many seconds was this? About like 30 seconds left, and Georgia Tech recovered it, right? Gave the ball back to Georgia Tech. So Georgia Tech has no timeouts, but they have enough time to run at least two plays. So they ran those plays, and with a few seconds left, Georgia Tech pretty much threw a touchdown pass with 1 second left on the clock. Pretty much sealed the game. They won 23-20. And you saw the Miami players out there just like, what are we doing? Why did we make that call? You saw the emotion on these players. And a lot of times when you make these type of decisions, this could actually cost you your team. At times it could cost you your job, because now they're thinking like, man, when we get to the national championship, if we ever fortunate enough to get to the national championship or even the conference championship, are you going to make these type of calls? Right. So now you can't be trusted, in situations where, separates, good coaches from great coaches. Right. And in my opinion, I don't know if these players, unless it's just a runaway game, you got the game handled. I get it. But if it's a close game, are you going to trust your head coach to make these right calls in situations? which basically means that you could lose the locker room, you could possibly lose the coaching staff. They'll look at you sideways. Like, I don't know if we could trust this dude in tight situations. So we might need to go ahead and blow this team out so we don't got to worry about another situation that happened at Georgia Tech with Georgia Tech, right? And it was just a boneheaded mistake. Don't get me wrong. The running back should have held on to the ball. He definitely should have held on to the ball. But by the end of the day, that call should have never been made. It should have never been made. You could have easily been like, hey, take a knee. We could just run this clock out, go home. Somebody on the coaching staff should have stood up to the head coach. This is why you need head coaches you need coaches on your staff to know pretty much will correct the head coach. You know what I mean? That's what you should do. And that's not what happened. And I saw the press conference. It seemed like the head coach was trying to deflect blame a little bit, then brought it back on himself. You should have never made that call. Never should have made that call. And I mean, you could possibly lose your players. I mean, it's one game. This is your first game that you lost, but you should have been undefeated going into this next game. So, in my opinion, I think that these players, hopefully they could get past it. But decisions like that in the game, even though it's like you're almost midway through the season, decisions like that could get you fired. Right? It could really get you fired. It could get you it can have that locker room look at you differently. Like, we can't even respect you right now. We don't know if you can make the right decisions. Even when we're like, the game is already wrapped, we got the game won. Right? So hopefully this team could bounce back from this. I really want to talk about that because, it goes with everything. You see it all the time. Coaches who make bad decisions that lose the locker room. Pretty much the coach is the first one out and they're bringing a new coach. So, I hopefully they'll be able to get past this and, it'll be good for college football to see the Miami Hurricanes come back to national prominence, like really be that dominant program that it once was. Right. So we'll see how that goes. Cause you start seeing other programs that, start coming into the mix and stuff like that. So hopefully Miami could come back and be that program that, a lot of players would consider looking at joining one day. It'd be good for college football. All right, y'all, man. So I just want to say thanks for tuning in with me. Y'all, please make sure y'all tell your friends and family about the podcast. New episodes are uploaded every Friday, so you can watch it here on YouTube, or you can listen on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, wherever you listen to podcasts. So please tune in, man. Tell your friends and family about it and have them tune in as well. Until next time, everybody, this your boy Darius from Drinking After Dark Podcast, and we out. Peace.
Gotta get to the money. Gotta get to the money. Early morning, so you know that I'm on it. Gotta make sure that my family straight. Gotta make sure that the kids and me. Gotta make sure that the bills is paid. And then let's get to the money. Get to the money. Early morning, so you know that I'm on it. And gotta make sure that my family straight. Gotta make sure that the kids and they. Gotta make sure that the bills is paid. And then let's get to the money. Get to the money.